like to introduce you to Melissa Fisher. She's a speech-language pathologist and co-owner of American River Speech, a private pediatric speech therapy practice serving children and families in the Sacramento region. She's experienced speech-language pathologist who has provided speech therapy services in a variety of settings that include hospitals, school districts, private practices. She provided both inpatient and outpatient services for adults, children, and specializes in autism, feeding, and alternative and augmentative communication. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. So tell me, so what inspired you to become a speech language pathologist?
Gosh, I came into this field in a very indirect way. When I initially went to college, I didn't even know what speech therapy was. I got my first degree in business and marketing, which has served me well now that I own my own business. But it really was just, talk about people one of my best friends that I met in college, her mom owned the speech therapy practice that I now own. And from that, after college, after working for a bit, she hired me really at that time for their front desk. So I joined the practice that way and just got to learn a lot about the field and what it was all about, and really just fell in love with it, helping the kids and the families and working with them day in and day out. Really inspired me to go back to school and become a speech pathologist.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And Melissa, in terms of private practice, so how did you transition into private practice and what were the biggest challenges?
Um, so the transition actually was really, I don't want to say it was easy. It's not never easy taking over a business. We didn't start this, so I own this in tandem with another owner. We did not start this practice from like the ground up. So this was an established private practice. I had done my clinical fellowship there. I had some experience working there before I left to go get more experience in other settings. And really what happened is I was leaving the hospital setting I was in. I was going to go work in another space and called the owner who is still like family to me and just needed an updated letter of recommendation. And she really was like, well, I really want to retire. Do you still have interest in private practice? And I really did. I just wasn't successful at getting it off the ground on my own, with working full time and having a brand new baby. So, she said, I was living in Oregon at the time, and she said, if you're still interested, I'd love to talk to you more about coming down here, learning what the clinic's all about now, and taking it over. And so, just kind of jumped on that opportunity. So, it was really nice to be able to come down, get to see how the clinic was running, um, see what they were doing differently, and get to know the business. And then in 2017, Vicky, the other owner, and I purchased the business from her.
Nice.
And yeah, so we were successful because we were both working there. It worked out nice because we had relationships with all the vendors. And so we were able to hold on to all the contracts that were already held by American River Speech and just kind of seamlessly um, maintain those and continue to have the level of business that we had when we took over. So that was really nice.
Okay. Okay. Very, very good. Thank you. Thank you for, um, taking us through the journey. So in terms of taking over a clinic, can you give us a bit of information? How long did it take? So 2017 is when you took over, correct?
hmm
What was what was how long did it take and what were some of the challenges, if any, taking over a private practice?
Um, so it probably took about a year just to work on. So in California, we hold a lot of contracts with school districts. So we have to be licensed through Department of Education as a non-public agency. Um, Obviously, American River Speech had that, but when we were taking over as American River Speech Therapy Incorporated, um, we really had to communicate with CDE, make sure that they knew that while we were a new vendor. We were kind of, it was the same as the previous one. So a lot of just working with some of those licensing agencies in terms of still being able to contract with them. In California, the Alta California Regional Center is a big one here, and they fund a lot of our social groups and early intervention therapy. And it's really hard to get vendored with them. So again, we, instead of starting from scratch and just portraying ourselves as a brand new entity, we were able to work with them to say, you are working with us in this capacity, but we are getting new ownership. So we are going to transition like these plans and things like that. They still apply. So just a little bit of interesting kind of working with those entities and making sure that everything transferred over so that we were able to maintain those contracts.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could take some time. And besides Department of Education, do you accept any insurances?
Yeah, we also were working with insurance. At the time, we only had Kaiser insurance, and so we did have to renegotiate our contract with them and get that redone, and that can take some time with any insurance company getting those initial contracts written and agreed upon. So,
And who was helping with contract negotiation? Did
it
you?
really was just the other owner and I working with the the insurance company, so we didn't have a middleman. It's really been us doing pretty much everything. So like it's just been a big learning experience year after
Yeah.
year. I feel like we're always learning something new about something in our field.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And then have you added other panels besides Kaiser since you took over the clinic?
Yeah, we take Kaiser, we do Medi-Cal, Medicaid, and then we take Cigna. And then we have not had as much success getting in network with other insurances, but we can a lot of times provide our clients if they still want to try and put it through their insurance. We can provide them with what's called a super bill that has all the codes so they can submit and request for reimbursement. And that's worked for a lot of clients as well.
Got it. So you do see some clients out of network
Yeah.
provide
Yeah.
super bills. Okay. All right. So that makes total sense. All right. Um, Melissa, so you specialize in autism, and then feeding therapy as well as alternative augmentative communication. So
Yeah.
can you tell us some challenges and rewards that come working with these specialized areas?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, at least with sorry, my AirPod fell out. One of the biggest challenges, honestly, is just keeping up with the research and keeping up with what's new, especially with the augmentative communication. So with AAC, there's so many different apps that you can now use on an iPad to help children communicate. There's a lot of companies that are considered durable medical equipment that you can go through insurance, and they're always coming out with new products, new features. So a lot of it is just staying up to date on that. Same with feeding. There's new research all the time in terms of, what's safe, what's not safe. And so that is always kind of a challenge, just making sure that you're in the know on what's out there and what's up to date and not just using the same things. Um, and then I think the education piece, especially again, I'll say AAC, a lot of times the biggest hurdle to having a child be successful using a communication device is making sure that everybody on the team is educated in how to use it and how to help teach this child how to use it.
Yeah, that could definitely be challenging. What about working with the parents? Is that something? Because I've heard from pediatric therapists that could be a challenge as well. Um,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. With families, I mean, you always want their buy-in. So making sure that they are a part of the evaluation process. Really also with feeding, you want to make sure that you're finding out what, any restrictions they have in the family. What do they typically eat so that you're not trying to introduce foods that they're never going to have at home with their kid. And even with again, a communication system, making sure that they kind of understand the role of the communication system and that it is there to be a voice for their kid, but it's not there to take the place of their child's voice, right? It's there to help hopefully increase their verbalizations. And if not, then it's there to be a communication tool for them. And so, yeah, with any of it, if you don't have parents buy-in, nothing you do is going to be successful in the 30 minutes or maybe 1 hour you have with the student a week. So you need to make sure that it's carried out all week long by the people that are with them the most.
Yeah, yeah, that's usually the biggest challenge that I hear when I
Hmm.
speak to it's pediatric clinic owners. Generally, it's working along with the families, making sure families are compliant, right, with treatment,
Yeah.
and that they have enough time to address all the issues within the 30-minute time slot. Sometimes they have a lot of questions prior to the
Yeah.
session, and it's setting up boundaries is also a challenge that I've heard
Yeah.
frequently.
Boundaries are probably the hardest part for me. I tend to, take those emails later at night than I should, or, I don't know. It's part of the job. You get invested with these kids and these families, but yeah, boundaries are important.
Yeah, and then actually leads me to my next question. So, how do you balance patient care, team management, and business operations, right? Being a clinic owner, but also, treating clinician. How challenging is it?
Um, it can be really challenging. And I don't know, honestly, with all of those, if there is ever really what we would call a balance. Sometimes, um, I feel like it kind of ebbs and flows what gets your attention, depending on what's happening. Sometimes there's major changes, and we need to really focus on clinic operations to be able to um, accommodate for those changes and stay successful there. But other times, um, we've got a bigger wait list or I've got a bigger caseload, and I really am focusing on patient care or maybe have a really involved patient at that point, and so they're taking a lot of my time, a lot of my extra time to research or develop an effective plan. So it's really just dependent on what's going on realistically in terms of what really needs the most attention, and then having the flexibility to be able to work my schedule in a way that I can focus on what's really important at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And Melissa,
Yeah.
how do you split your time? So you treat, how many days a week do you treat? Do you treat 5 days a week or it's less? And how many days do you actually dedicate to practice management?
So I treat 5 days a week, but not all day. There is typically one day a week that I like to be in the clinic all day. That doesn't mean that I might not be seeing a client on Zoom or doing some consult services, but I definitely have one full day a week that I'm in the clinic. And then the other days, um, it's kind of split time in terms of, where I fit my clients in and the assessments in, and then focus on any clinical admin tasks that need to be done that are clinically
Mhm.
relevant. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I
Makes
wish there
sense.
was a better divide, but it really is kind of a week by week of looking at my schedule, seeing what needs to be done, and then making sure that those spots are blocked off to do those tasks. If I don't block it off, it's harder to get it done. So,
Yeah, that's definitely gotta, that's something we'll always talk about. You use a calendar or scheduling software. It's not just the patient treatments, right? Clinical
yeah.
windows, but it's also your practice management or your tasks that you need, even personal things. You need to block these off because sometimes calls come in, patients call in, family members call in, and next thing you know, you didn't have the time to complete the list of things you had on your calendar. Um,
Yeah, our software's been really instrumental in that. That everything goes on my calendar. If I don't say, yeah, personal, um, whatever I need to be doing has to be on there to kind of build in those boundaries of what I'm working on and keep me focused and so that I get everything done that I need to.
All right. And then speaking of technology, right? So
Mhm.
what role does technology play in streamlining your services, right? Your EMR. So you mentioned you use scheduling for the EMR, right? To keep all your day-to-day right? So
Yep.
can you tell me some of the other features that you find very helpful in day-to-day operations?
So with that software, we can also go in and do our charting. So all of our clinic notes can be done within that software, which is really nice because, um, anybody if covers your client, people are out sick. I was out sick last week. If you have coverage, you're able to go in there, and look at, you can have their most recent reports with their goals. You can have all the most recent clinic notes. So everything's there in one spot. We do have kind of a hybrid system where we do still have paper charts for some of our clients. Um, for more of a quick we have a lot of interns and a lot of people that we train. So it's just been helpful to be able to give them something solid to sit down with and be able to review, because we can't always get them a login to our software just for their internship. So, but no, the Practice Perfect management software has been great just for having everything online, and I can have access to it if I'm in the clinic or if I'm at home or if I'm at a school site and I need to gain access to it. So it's just been um, made us able to access
Yeah.
these things no matter where we're at. So that's been really nice.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And I just wanted to clarify. And why do you use paper documentation still? Is it because of the interns for the main part, or?
Yeah, so some of our speech pathology assistants and some of our interns have maintained um, more of a paper chart system. It's just we aren't able to get our interns to log into Practice Perfect. And so it also allows them, we like them to put together their binders with the goals and things so that they just have something to hold on to and be able to work on their lesson plans and things like that when they're at the clinic.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Makes sense. And then Melissa, so we did talk about insurances, and do you have a billing company that helps you with billing, or is that something you guys manage in-house?
We manage all billing in-house, and that's with myself and the other owner. She's actually taken over a little bit of that. We did have, we do again. We lost our front office coordinator, who was also in charge of being our billing coordinator,
Okay.
and so we didn't have that for a short bit of time. But it's actually really been beneficial for us to take that back over and see how much time really needs to be devoted to it, what it really looks like, clean up maybe some mistakes or errors that were made in there. And we just hired somebody recently that worked for us previously, so we're pretty confident she's going to be able to do the job. So we do typically have someone that takes care of all of our end of the month billing as well as insurance billing weekly.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Very good. And so what advice would you give to therapists looking to start their clinic, or in your case, maybe take over a clinic or purchase a clinic? Like, what would have been helpful for you to know prior to taking over a clinic? You know, I guess that would be my question for you.
Yeah, I think just networking and maybe having a mentor in the process, honestly. The world of speech pathology is pretty small, and all of us private practice owners here know each other. And really just reaching out to your colleagues. When we were getting started, we were rewriting our policies and procedures and um, redoing all of the forms and our intake forms and those sorts of things. And it was nice if we were stuck on that to be able to reach out and just say, hey, what are you guys doing for this? This is what we're thinking, what works for you. And we still do that. We still are networking and asking questions and seeing what other clinics are doing that might make things a little easier. So I think anyone who's interested in doing it, I would encourage them to go for it. I love private practice, and I've worked in a lot of different settings. So if that's really where your heart lies and that's something you want to do, I say go for it. Just make sure you have some contacts. Even social media is a great place to go to. I know we have like Sacramento SLPs and just various groups that are easy to check in with on one thing or another, whatever comes up, being able to have a place to ask questions.
And did you have a mentor when you were taking over the clinic?
Yeah, actually, the previous owner was instrumental in us taking over the practice. So she was really helpful in any questions we had, um, any kind of recommendations, or things that she would help us out with. She was really invested in our success, and so anything we asked for help with, she was happy to do. She actually even stayed on. She no longer lives in the area. She moved away a year or two after we took over. We're still in touch, but she stayed on, just working and seeing clients and helping us out that first year that we took over, just to make sure that everything went smoothly. So it was really nice.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. And Melissa, how do you see the field of speech therapy evolving?
Gosh. I read that question and I tried to think about that. I mean, I think we're actually at a time where we are going to have to evolve. It seems like there's always a shortage of us no matter what setting we're in. Definitely, I see that in the school sites where, districts are not able to fill all their positions with SLPs. And so they're trying to figure out how to provide services. Um, that's oftentimes when they contract with someone like us to come in and provide services. But I really think that the one thing that I never really thought for speech therapy is having teletherapy. It's really opened the door for even kids that maybe had more difficulty in the past getting services, that are maybe in more rural areas, um, to be able to receive services. So being able to provide services to families and kids virtually has made um, a big difference. And even for us, we have some families that maybe 1 week can't make it to the clinic, but they still want to do session, and they'll say, hey, can we do it over Zoom? And so we get to kind of maintain our productivity and maintain those treatment protocols and be able to still see these kids even if they can't make it into the clinic. So I think that that's made just a huge difference in making services available.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you guys, so I'm guessing you're using telehealth, for your existing clients. Do you offer only that service, which is telehealth, for any clients outside the area? And if so, do you have any of those clients, or generally it's all in the office?
Um, Currently, it's all in the office. That is kind of one of our, I don't know, parking lot items as of right now, just in terms of, gaining additional clients, growing the practice, and being able to offer those services outside of our like Sacramento region. But right now, everything's really local.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. And Melissa,
Yeah.
I wanted to touch a little bit on marketing. So do you do any marketing, any digital marketing or non-digital marketing? And if so, what has worked for you and what hasn't?
Honestly, that's a really good question. We really haven't done a lot of marketing. Um, I do think that's an area that we are going to have to really budget for this year and kind of coming up. We are seeing a little bit of a shift in um, just kind of insurance, being able, we can continue to take insurance, but they're really cutting back on the amount of services that the kids are receiving. And so we're seeing kids come and go a lot quicker than we have in the past, and it's leaving a lot of holes. And so really figuring out, word of mouth is great, and we've been established for a long time, but that is not necessarily working for us 100% right now. So coming up with, somebody who's maybe content creator to start doing some content on Instagram. We do have a clinic page, but it's not well maintained. So yeah, really just focusing, I think, this year on having maybe a better website, a better online presence, and doing some marketing to promote ourselves, and really figuring out where the best place is to promote ourselves. I think is our big question right now, is like, okay, we can do marketing, but where, we know who we're marketing to, but where are they going to be seeing this? So,
Mm, okay. All right. And then, so I'm guessing the majority of your patients come from DOE contract, right? And then just word of mouth at this point, I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah. So we've got contracts with a lot of the school districts in the area that we've had contracts with for a really long time, even prior to us taking it over. So
Yeah.
lots of different school contracts, but not a lot of, inter or private pay, I guess, where families are looking for services. And I know that that's probably, or that is a huge market, would really help us out in times, especially like summers are a little bit slower, especially with having a lot of school contracts. Kids aren't in school
Hmm.
in the summer. So they do have usually an extended school year, but that's only 3 to 4 weeks. So there's still lots of weeks in the summer. So just developing marketing campaigns to help fill the clinic during those times that are slower and come up with programs that we want to offer during those times.
All right. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Well, thank you so much for your time today and
Yeah.
sharing your journey with your clinic
Yeah.
and your challenges as well. And looking forward to connecting in the future.
All right. Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you.
Likewise.